Powerlifters hate front squats, and I'm not the only one that's tired of that attitude. In today's video, I'm gonna go over 5 reasons why front squats absolutely rock, whether you're a beginner powerlifter or a seasoned one. Plus, I have a special guest to help me convey these points, make these arguments, and convince you to give front squats an honest try.
What's going on, guys? Thanks to Andrew for having me on. My name is Desi Cooney. I'm a certified strength and conditioning specialist, powerlifter, and the head coach of Team Outlier. We are a powerlifting team based out of Lincoln, Nebraska, and we actually just won Raw Nationals for the first time. And I'm excited to talk about some front squats today, so let's get into it.
To kick off the video, I'm gonna go ahead and take the first segment here, and what I'm gonna tell you is that front squats are a fantastic developmental tool for any powerlifter. If you're just getting started with your powerlifting journey, the front squat is going to serve you extremely well. The reason being, it's one of the purest squat forms that you could do with a barbell. Because simply put, you just sit down and you stand back up. That's essentially how a front squat works. That is the mechanics of a front squat. You sit the hell down, you stand the frick back up. And because it is so easy to understand, and because it can be so accessible to anybody, more people should do it. More people should start off learning how to strengthen their quads, generate leg drive in their squat before tinkering with some overly specific, super low bar placement style of squat. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but if you're just getting started, then you should learn the base fundamental movement patterns. Your hinges should be hinges. Your squats should be squats. That isn't to say there isn't room for a low bar squat or a sumo deadlift or what have you in your program. But if you're just getting started, you just need to learn how to move, and you need to learn how to move well. Chances are you're probably not very coordinated and you're going to have a hard time moving in the first place. So sticking to movements that are, albeit basic and simple, but effective and tried and true over time is going to be your best bet in seeing meaningful progress, and then being able to spice shit up and do your weird French low bar squats. Now, with that being said, while one of the main points I just made is the accessibility of the front squat, there are some barriers for entry, namely how you hold the barbell. Some people lack the requisite upper body mobility and shoulder mobility, or even wrist mobility, to hold the bar in a complete front rack. And that's fine. If that's you, there are other alternatives. Now, you can certainly work on it. You can certainly do things to mobilize your shoulders, mobilize your arms, mobilize your wrists to be able to hold the bar that way, if that's what you decide to do. If that's just not happening for you, then you can always try front squatting with a cross arm grip like most bodybuilders do, because they're just too jacked to even get into that kind of position. Or if even that is not feeling very stable for you, then you could do what some other powerlifters do, where they'll use straps and loop it around the barbell and pull on the straps itself to create the front rack position. The first the first powerlifter that comes to mind that does this that I'm aware of is Mike Tuchner, or Mike T, however you pronounce his last name. I don't know, potato, tomato. But Mike T, great guy. That's another alternative for you to do as well, unless you just want to be a Giga Chad and do the front rack.
What is up, guys? Andrew is totally right about the front squat being an amazing developmental tool for athletes and powerlifters who are just starting off their journey. But I want to emphasize that the benefits don't stop there. Even well-seasoned, advanced powerlifters can still derive a lot of benefits from using the front squat as an accessory. And the main reason for that is because it can constrain some of the bad habits that we see popping up in your competition squat. If you are someone who, when the weight gets heavy in your competition squat, your hips shoot up early, or you get pitched forward and off balance, the front squat could be your new best friend. The reason being, you can't do those things in a front squat and still be successful. If you get pitched forward, you're just going to lose the bar. You can try to cue that all you want, but you're going to get a lot better results a lot faster by choosing accessories that constrain for the qualities that you're looking for, like this one. Incidentally, this is also why I don't subscribe to the notion that oh, powerlifters don't need to front squat because they can just use the safety bar. When in my view, those are not a one-to-one whatsoever. Even in the above example, for instance, even though the weight is displaced more anteriorly in both a front squat and a safety bar, the safety bar is not going to fix your bad habit of the hips shooting up early. And that's because the SSB actually wants to fold you forward. It wants to fold you in half. And while it's a great exercise, and I use it all the time, it's not the go-to when you're trying to fix someone's problem of getting pitched forward or the hips shooting up in the squat. It's actually a lot easier to use your back and hips in a safety bar squat where it's basically impossible to do that in a front squat.
On top of the front squat being a good coaching tool, forcing you to maintain a certain position and a certain posture when you're squatting, it's also a good variation to use to intentionally limit load. Now, why would that be a good thing? I thought we're powerlifters. I thought we're trying to load up as much weight as possible. Yeah, certainly we are. But biomechanically speaking, you're simply not going to front squat as much as you competition squat, particularly if you're going to be doing a low bar squat. And that's not a bad thing if we're being intentional about how we're using the front squat as a programming tool. You guys can't lift heavy every single day of the week. You simply can't. You have to recover from those hard sessions, and that takes time. You're going to experience fatigue, and that's going to mask your fitness. That's going to mask your ability to be able to lift heavy or lift at the same intensities all the time. So with that being said, if you're squatting on a day where you know that you're going to show up a bit weaker in your squat, because let's say 2-3 days ago, you had a really intense, really heavy, lots of volume on your, say, competition squat, well, you're probably gonna need a bit of a break from doing those heavy loads and focusing on other qualities of your squat. And that's where the front squat can come in as that programming tool, because one, you can limit load a little bit more, and two, going back to Desi's points here, you can work on your weak points. It can help fix whatever positional issues you might be having with your competition squat. There is not going to be any amount of cueing that you can do on your main squat if your knees are just receding back aggressively. Sometimes you just have to force it. But getting back to my point here, using it as a tool in programming, like I said, you can't stay lifting heavy all the time. And sometimes lifting heavy is just relative, depending on the variation we're using and the purpose of the day. If the purpose of the day, of that second squat day that you have, right? If we're still sticking with that example of you squatting heavy 2-3 days ago, maybe the point of this day is just to emphasize and train that weak point. It's not to overload, in general necessarily. It's just to overload that specific quality, training that quality of your squat. And so in that way, by training that quality of your squat, we can then take that stimulus, run it into that primary day, that heavier day, and now prime the primary squat. See how it all kind of fits? See how it all kind of works? If we just have 2 days where we're lifting extremely heavy, that fatigue that we're building up is just going to carry over session by session by session. And then you're just never going to have good training sessions for your squat because you're lifting too heavy way too often. So using the front squat as a load limiting tool can be of benefit to you.
Okay, so we've established the front squat as a great self-limiting variation that can fit nicely within your program as an accessory for that reason alone. But we haven't talked about just how brutal this exercise can be on your quads and your upper back and how much growth you can get out of it. Because your posture is going to be so much more upright, your knees are going to travel a lot more forward in a front squat than your back squat for almost everybody, which means it's going to stretch and use those quads a lot more. And because, like we've already established, you can't really get pitched forward in the front squat, the quads end up having to do more of the work because you simply can't use your glutes and your back the way you can in a low bar squat. This is also an outstanding upper back exercise, especially if you do it with crossed arms, because those upper back erectors are constantly fighting to keep you from rounding forward or you're gonna lose the bar. If you haven't done much front squatting before, you will absolutely notice this the next day. Also, just speaking from personal experience, when I really started front squatting a lot and front squatting every week, my quads, especially like my VMO, grew substantially bigger than ever before, and it also kept my knees happy and pain-free, which in a powerlifting prep was a new thing for me.
All right, guys, I'm gonna be honest with you here. We're gonna pull a Bill O'Reilly. We're gonna do it live. We're not gonna stick to a script or anything like that. But this last point that I'm making, and I'm commandeering this last section of the video here, but I wanted to talk about the value of doing difficult things. And I think this is fitting for this video because front squats are hard. They really are. And most people, they don't do them. And they say they don't because they label it as a ineffective or useless variation. But in all honesty, they just don't want to try. And I think there's a issue of not trying because people are so focused on getting the outcome. That's kind of that's what's glamorized, right? In just kind of society as a whole. And I feel like people forget that it's the process that leads and yields the outcome that you want. And that process is probably going to be very difficult. It's probably going to be boring. It's probably going to be drab. It's the work that 99% of people don't see, but it's the work that you need to do to get to where you want to go. And I think that's what I love about training. The lesson that I learned from training is that sometimes you just have to do the hard thing. You might not want to do it. You might not want to train hard. You might not want to do a certain variation or do a certain accessory lift or movement or what have you. But you still need to do it. You know it's good for you. You know it's going to be of your benefit. And even if you don't know that, you can try and give it your honest shot and really put some effort into it to just see what happens. And then from there, you can simply learn. I know this is just a video about front squats. I'm not trying to get too philosophical here or anything like that. If anything, I don't even feel comfortable using that word. I'm really just expressing an opinion. But what I'm really trying to tell you guys is to not run away from doing the hard thing. Sometimes you just got to do it. Sometimes you just got to say, all right, bet, I'll thug it out. And because powerlifting is about pushing yourself. And that's what's so exhilarating about the sport. That's what's so exhilarating about meeting people that are in powerlifting, because everybody's just trying to push themselves for whatever reasons. But that's the common thing. That's the common factor. And I think that's why powerlifting is such a tight-knit community, because it's all these people with their own stories just trying to push themselves for, again, whatever reasons. And maybe for some people, it isn't that serious. Maybe it's more of a hobby for them. That's fine. But they still show up. They still push themselves in some way, shape, or form. And to me, that's fucking awesome. But anyways, guys, give yourselves the chance to try something new. Give yourselves the chance to push yourself, to give it an honest shot, to fail, to succeed, to learn, and just to grow. Because there's nothing better than seeing your hard work turn into tangible progress. And that's why I love front squatting. Shit, that's why I love powerlifting. Thanks for sticking around, guys. If you liked today's video, please hit that like button. Please subscribe to me and Desi. I'm so grateful that he wanted to collaborate with me. I just shot him a DM one day after I saw him glaze front squats, and I was like, okay, I gotta work with this guy. He seems really knowledgeable. He's super cool. He's so passionate about coaching and so passionate about delivering good quality content. So I'm beyond grateful to have been of acquaintance with him, collaborate with him, work with him. Give him a follow on Instagram. I'll plug it somewhere on the screen. He's also on YouTube. I'll plug that somewhere on the screen as well. Thank you for sticking around, guys. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Comment below if you like front squats, if you hate front squats, if you're indifferent, if you're just here for the muffin button. There! Whatever it is, leave your comments down below. I really love to go through all of your guys' comments and read what you guys have to say. So with that being said, again, thanks for sticking around, and I'll see you guys in the next video.